Okay, good evening, everybody. I am Olukanmi Abayomi Oludeji by name, so I'm popularly referred to as Dr. Chomicay. So, in case you need to learn the pronunciation, Dr. Chomicay, that's how I pronounce that. Now, tonight, my point of concentration is exam anxiety and stress management. Exam anxiety and stress management. So, this is not something new to every one of us, but then it is something we have experienced in one time or the other. But fortunately or unfortunately, we actually don't know what we are passing through, and it actually derail a lot of students. And most times, some individuals ended up having something which is low. I mean, it's called lower than what is actually. Now, from my end here, I have what anxiety means. Now, as anxiety, as it is from the Oxford Dictionary, it is stated to be concerned about something uncertain. It is stated to be concerned about something uncertain. In other words, this is saying that the feeling you have towards something that you are unsure about, the feelings you have about a particular examination in which you are not sure of the outcome, the nervousness, worriness that you have towards something you are uncertain about, that is actually what anxiety means. It is that particular way you behave. You are very worried when you know that this exam is actually what will determine if you will move to the next class or you will remain at home. That is what anxiety simply means. That is anxiety. Now we look at what are the things that actually cause examination anxiety. What are those things that make you anxious? Yeah, the word anxious now, that is the adjective of the anxiety. Anxiety is a noun. So what are those things that make you anxious whenever you are about to take any examination? Because most students, let's say almost every student, but then not everyone, but almost, though the level of anxiousness might differ, but then everyone is actually anxious about the outcome of a particular examination. So, what are those things that actually result to you being anxious? What are those things that actually lead to anxiety? So, we'll be looking at them, and I'll be bringing out solution to what we need to do to some of these things. Number one thing is fear of failure. Number one thing is fear of failure. That's the first thing. You're actually anxious because you are damn scared of not failing again. You don't want to fail. Still, for instance, you are your Jamb or Post UTME. You actually know that not passing this particular exam might result to a lot of things for you. I just concluded an examination not quite long, and to be frank with you, I was very anxious. Like I had to stay off a lot of things so I can meet up to my personal conviction that I am actually okay. So that is anxiety for you. That's anxiety. So fear of failure. If you actually have it in mind that there's possibility of you failing, then you will be anxious about a particular examination. That's the first reason or causes of anxiety. The next thing is overwhelming materials. When you have a lot to cover, definitely you'll be anxious. When you have a lot to cover, probably in a little time range, then there's no way you can escape anxiety. You will surely be anxious about that particular examination. Imagine having several things to do for a particular examination. As you are reading this, that one is leaving. You know that feeling, you'll be like, these things, they are just too much. I don't even know what to read. Then anxiety sets in. And note, anxiety is also stress. Anxiety is Exam anxiety is also what? Stress. So when I'm talking about the anxiety, I'm talking about the stress management as well. So these are the ways in which you can get stressed as a student. These are the ways in which you can be anxious towards a particular examination. Now, another thing that will cause you to be anxious is bad experience or if just failure. It is a different ball game when you have done Jamb or Post UTME twice and you have failed. Then you are taking the next exam. It is different. You feel differently. You feel there's this worriness in you, this nervousness will be kind of different from somebody who is just leaving secondary school. The person somehow person feel like he has nothing to lose. Yes, that's another thing that makes you anxious. When you have something to lose, you become very anxious. Do you get that? When you have a lot to lose, you become what? Very anxious. Bad previous failure experience will actually make you anxious. Yeah, that's another thing. Now, one of the major cause of anxiety, is failure to prepare. Regardless of what you have done, provided you have not prepared well for that particular examination, then unless you have nothing to lose. Remember, I've mentioned that one of the things that will cause you to be anxious is when you have something to lose. But when you have nothing to lose and you have not prepared for that particular examination, then you will not even be anxious. You just feel like either I pass or I failed. It's none of my business. But if when you are in a situation whereby you are the one paying your school fee, you actually bought the JAMB form with your money, and you are yet to prepare at all, and we just have few days, probably 2 weeks to the examination, then the way your head will be ringing, like the way your head will be ringing that no, I've not done anything. What I've done is not enough for me to get what I'm desiring for. Excuse me. Then you become what? Very anxious towards that particular examination. And anxiety can lead to a lot of things. When you are anxious, when you are anxious, from research, students who are anxious towards a particular examination, they tend to do far below those who are normal. When I mean normal, remember I mentioned that we all were actually anxious about one or two things. But then students who don't have whose anxiety level is not as high as some others, they tend to do better compared to others. Okay, please, if you can hear the live stream, please let's get a thumbs up from the comment section, so I will know I'm not talking to myself. Okay, so it's very important, so I won't be speaking to myself. Okay, that's great. I think about three guys have responded. About three. Okay, I think I have few comments here. So okay, let's just move then. I think some of you are around. Okay, so anxiety can actually make somebody fail the exam. That's just the truth. If you are anxious about, there are instances where somebody who has read, you have done a lot as regard the particular examination, but on getting there, one thing leads to the others, and you become unnecessarily anxious. Then you may enter the exam hall just for you not to remember anything as regard that particular subject matter. They may be asking you A, you'll be writing D, not because you don't know it, but the fact that you are anxious, you won't be able to put down a lot of things. Okay, let me just bring in a live scenario. In my last examination, as I mentioned, I was actually anxious because it's actually a life determined exam that will determine if you will remain in med school or you will go home. And then I want to remain in med school, so I have something to lose. I want to remain in med school. I don't want to go home. I don't want to disappoint my parents. I don't want to disappoint even my students and all that. So not just getting to the next class, but getting to the next class on a good grade and all that. So I had a lot to lose, but I was anxious. So I need to put a lot of things in place to rid off my anxiety. On getting to the exam hall, though, yes, there are several things that actually happened. Then there was a particular question I that was set for us for that particular exam. Fortunately, this is one of the simplest questions everybody should actually know. On seeing the question, I knew everything required to write, but the the details of what I'm actually required to write, they were not there. So I just put them down. On coming out, I was just like, did you write this? I said, no. Did you write that? I said, do you get? Due to the fact that you are anxious, so even some things you will miss the details. This is the difference when you are conversing with a friend. When you are talking to a friend, like, okay, what is this? You are saying this is this, that is that. Even in class, you are the best student. When they ask you this, you can solve anything, you can pour down anything. But when you get to the exam hall, it is a different ball game. It is a new pressure. Do you get? It is something different completely. And you see, this guy is sabi book. Sorry for using pidgin. This guy is actually good, but then is performing below expectation. You just after everything, the result will still come average. One of the causes, one of the effects of anxiety. When you are very anxious, you ended up performing drastically low compared to your level of preparedness. Yeah, that's one thing anxiety can cause. Now, one thing I want you to, yes, you have been there, you must have experienced this. That's why you are actually keen about listening to this. You must have experienced anxiety in your exam. You are going for the exam, you are just on even on entering the CBT or anywhere you are taking the exam, you are already shivering. Like people will say, guy, calm down. We pass, amen, amen. I know you have been there, but the good news is you are not the only one actually feeling anxious about exams. You are not the only one. The best of the best, they are anxious. Like those people you have actually look up to that, oh, this guy is the best and this, they have anxiety as well too. So virtually everybody, most persons are anxious when it comes to examination. So what is important is how do we tackle this anxiety? So I'll be giving probably about 7 ways in which you can tackle your anxiety, about 7 ways in which you can tackle anxiety, how you can effectively manage stress when it comes to examination, during your preparation, during the course of examination, and even 2, 3 days to examination. You can be nervous at any point in time. Even some students are actually nervous about examination and they feel like not even doing it at all. I've seen an instance where somebody was actually anxious about a particular exam and she decided she will not be taking the exam. You get like you are feeling like I don't even know what the outcome will be. It's better I don't waste my efforts. You get something like that. So I'll be creating with you how you can actually avoid this scenario, not avoid completely, but then how you can stay more relaxed and become effective when next you are taking your next examination, most likely Post UTME and from some other person's Jamb. Okay, one thing you need to take note is you have to prepare. You have to prepare. Regardless of what anybody is telling you, regardless of the formula you have been using, regardless of what you are doing, it is fundamental that for every examination you are sitting for, be it simple or hard, depending on how you have considered it to be, preparation is very key. When you don't prepare, there's no way you won't be. Just like you going for a battle you are not prepared for, automatically your mindset, you already lost in your mind. You will actually know that no, I've not done anything at all. So you are already on the losing side. So there is no way you won't be anxious. You may even enter the exam, but the list of all questions you eventually fail it because you don't actually prepared enough for that particular examination. Now, adequate preparation will enable you to gain some courage. The more courage you have about a particular examination, the more you will not be anxious as regard that particular examination, the more you will be able to manage stress as regard that particular examination. If you are well prepared, I've seen some examination, even going for the exam more, you are not even thinking of what will they set because in your mind you feel like anything they would set, you actually know them. So it's not a problem any longer for you as at that time. Do you get? So that is number one thing you have to take note of: preparation. Among your preparation, that's where we have attending tutorials, solving past questions, and all that. So it will help you know your gaps. Yes, know what you are good in and know what you are deficit in. This will enable you to actually prepare well for that particular examination. It will enable you to manage your anxiety. Okay, you know that, oh, obviously I'm not good in physics. Then your anxiety level as regard physics, probably it will be high. Of course it will be, but then it will enable you to channel enough energy to that particular physics. That's the first thing you have to take note of. You need to prepare, like adequate preparation, not just preparing with your lips, but preparing with your body, soul, and mind. You are dig in for it that no, I'm actually doing this. That's one of the best way. That's the first thing you have to do when you want to manage any stress as regard examination. Otherwise, every other thing I'll be saying will just be a waste. If every other thing is not in, if preparation is not in place, if I tell you to do this and do that and you are not prepared, you will still ended up going to the exam hall just for your hand to start shaking the same way. Do you get? So the first thing is you need to prepare. Like you need to prepare. Like I'm stating that emphatically. Preparation is very key when it comes to managing anxiety. Now, the next thing is, this is still under preparation, but I put it under a side note, as not like it's still part of your preparation, but then it's a side note on preparation. Hope I'm still with everyone. Hope I'm still with everyone. Oh, some people can't hear me. Can you hear me? Okay, okay, good. I think I have some guys following me. Can somebody, okay, good. Let's move then. Let's move. So that being said, so the next thing you have to take note of is recreating your exam scenario. Recreate the exam condition. Are you with me? For instance, when I was a JAM student, there's this particular way I prepared for JAM. JAM is 180 question and all that. So while I was preparing for JAM, I had all my past questions. So I'll pick all my past questions. I will pick years randomly. I'll pick here randomly. Okay, I will have numbered my page, my notebook, I had a book then separated for solving past questions. So I will have numbered 1 to 50, 1 to 50, 1 to 15, and all that for that particular time I'm doing the past question. I'll be on my study desk. So I will have my phone. I'm going 2 hours. That is how JAMB will set for me. 2 hours. So I will assume I'm taking the exam. Yes, it is kind of different. Believe me, it is different because the pressure is not there. At that instance, your mind feel like you are not actually in the exam, you are not actually in the exam hall. So your mind is a bit relaxed, but it actually helps if you put yourself in that particular condition and you undertake the exam and you discover your lapses. It will help you to relax more when you get to the exam hall. My last exam, I did same thing. 2 3 days to my exam, I took a past question for my class, those the previous class before me. So I check a random year, and I pick up my long book, and I started write and write. Will I be able to write this number of pages? Will I be able to write everything I know on this particular module within this particular period of time? I'm having 4 questions for 1 hour. Will 15 minutes be enough for me in the exam hall to write everything I know on this particular topic? Do you get that? So at first I did for a particular topic, and I ended up using about 20 something minutes or to up to 30 minutes for that particular topic. Then I knew that something is wrong. There's need for me to increase my speed. You get that? So that's how you prepare better. That's another way to manage anxiety. Some persons will go to the hall of their exam. Probably you are in the university. I know for some reasons you will not be able to attend the CB center you are taking the exam. But if you have put yourself in the condition of examination, like just something a simulation, that's what in my tutorial now, that we have a simulation of the main exam. Do you get that? Something that look like the main examination you will be taking. So it helps you to relax more. If you can do well in that, when you get to the main exam, your mind will be, no, I've been doing this. Do you get? I've been doing it, so I will surely do better, or I will surely do well as well, if you have created that particular environment, exam scenario in your mind. The next thing for you to manage exam anxiety and stress when it gets to exam is you revise. Revision is, you see, I always say this, just 24 hours to your exam at times is far more important than that 35, those probably 3 months, 4 months you have been reading. Just 15, probably 24 hours, 48 hours to your exam is, the impact on you is far more than the any hours you have been reading before. So the revision is very key. When I say that hours they are very important, I don't mean that is when you start reading everything you want to read. Not at all. That's not when you start reading everything you want to read. But for your revision, when you pick a particular material and you start glancing through it, those things you have actually jotted down, you gain more confidence that, oh no, I know this thing. Okay, I still know this thing. I still know this thing. I know this. I know this. Then your confidence level will actually increase. At times you don't know what you know until you know that you know them. You get? So this will help you increase your confidence level. And also this should work when you are anxious. You can jot down the reasons why you are anxious. Okay, why am I anxious? Why am I scared about this particular exam? Why am I scared about this particular exam? Then you have your way. Okay. Now, this is also important that you take note of it, that you failed once doesn't equate that you will fail the next time. I know a lot of people are very anxious, very disturbed that, oh, I did jam, despite everything I did, blah, 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 blah. Attend tutorial, read 24 hours. At the end of the day, I still score 210. And there's this stigma in you. You feel like there's no way you will actually do better, and you are not even putting in the effort. Anytime you try to put in the effort, you feel like the result may later still be bad, and you are just nervous. You don't want to do anything at all. Now, that for the fact that you have once failed doesn't mean you are a failure. For the fact that you have once failed doesn't mean the next exam you are taking you will surely fail. That is just it. If you have a new strategy, a new method, and you do some things you didn't do in the previous years, then I can guarantee you that your result, your score will come up differently from what it has always been. Do you understand? Okay, if you have questions, kindly drop them as I round up. If you have questions, kindly drop them as I round up. Okay, another thing you should do to help your anxiety and stress management is ensure you eat well, you rest well, and you move as well. Don't be stagnant. Probably when you feel disturbed, you can just take a walk. Make sure you are eating. Take enough food. Take enough food, and also rest well. Now, this, you think probably if you don't sleep, you will pass. Is a scam. It's a scam. If you don't sleep, doesn't equate that you will pass like more. You just need to rest well. That doesn't mean that you should sleep all day. Of course not. But then take enough rest for yourself. Also, seek help. Now, some anxiety is beyond what I am saying. Some anxiety, they are actually anxiety disorder. Some anxiety, they are actually a disorder that you will need external help, probably a therapist, to assist you. Because when it's looking abnormal, when it comes more than what you can handle, then you need help. Talk to people, let somebody counsel you, then you get better. Also, you can practice relaxation techniques. If anytime you are anxious, What you actually need is to be relaxed. That's just the fact. What you need is to be relaxed. Probably you are studying, you are in the course of an examination, and you are just up. You are very anxious, nervous. You just like, well, let me just go out. I've already failed this examination. All you just need is to relax. Probably you are talking to somebody and you are actually very anxious. You just want to talk and leave. All you just need to do is to relax. Can practice meditation. Also, affirmation helps as well. Say positive words to yourself. They actually help as well. They actually help as well. What are the best time for reading? What do you how do you not forget what you have read? Oh, I don't think that is related to what I am saying now. But then let me just attend to that. Now, I think I'm done with what I have here. I think I'm done. So let me just attend to these two questions as we call it a day from my end. If you have any other question, kindly please drop them before I wrap up the section. Now, the question I have here, what are the best time for reading? Now, the fact is there's no best time for you to read. Okay, there's no general best time for reading. That's the word. There's no general best time for you to read, but it is important that you study yourself and you know what time is best for you to assimilate. The best time for everybody to read is when you're actually relaxed. When you are relaxed, not stressed, you are relaxed, completely relaxed. I assimilate better after, probably immediately after a nap. Early in the morning, if I should read, I will understand what I'm reading, but then I will sleep very early again. Probably after 2, 3 hours of reading, I will still feel sleepy again. But I think personally, I assimilate more better after waking up from a nap. So there's no general time for you to read, either in the day. Some people read in the day, some read in the night. Nothing works generally for everybody. Okay, how do you not forget what you have read? How do you not forget what you have read? Now, the only way for you not to forget what you have read is with active recall. Is with active recall. You have a lot of information. Your brain takes in a lot of information that you don't even know of. So your brain is configured in a way to filter information. So the things I'm saying now, the way your brain is configured is to see them as random things you always see. That is why if I should ask you tomorrow, there is 80% chance that you may not be able to reproduce some things, even everything I've said, if you don't check them probably immediately again this night or early again tomorrow morning. Do you get? So active recall is very important. This is one of the most helpful tips in med school, and that's one of the most helpful tips for anybody. Active recall. You have to keep on repeating what you have learned, either either in communication with fellow students, either using taking them as questions. You have to actively say things that you have learned. There are several things I've learned, but then does that mean I know everything? Probably there was a time I knew them, but now can I boldly say that I know this? No, unless I look at it again, omo, I know this thing, I know it. You get? So that's what active recall means. You have to keep on, as you read, take notes. As you read what you have read, use it in your, please, Miss Daniela, immediately I should end, please let me know. So there are things you have read. So as you read, the best way to remember is when you put them in practice. You get? When you learn 1 plus 1 is 2. If you actually bring one orange and you see that it is 2, that is how you learn better. So active recall, you ah if you have read for a very long time, you feel so tired, yes. Should you stop or continue? This question depends on how how will I put it? Depend on how comfortable you are with your future. Depend on how comfortable you are with your future. Now, there was okay. Recently, I had to read for almost like virtually every day, not really every day, but then like it look as if I'm reading every day because what is at stake is actually bigger than me. So depend on what if you think you have actually covered if you think you have actually covered enough for that particular day, let's say for instance you have what you are to do for that particular day, to read this and this, and you have done A and B, what you have left is just C, and you are feeling tired, then you can go rest, then come back, ensuring that you actually finish that C. But you have highlighted that I will read A, B, C, and D. Just jumping on book, looking at A, you are feeling tired and you want to rest. I won't advise you to do that, because at the long run, what will matter is the result you have, and not either you read or you don't read. So it is best you read and achieve what you have set in to achieve for that particular time frame than you feeling tired. Of course, you'll be tired. Reading is a lot of work. Reading is a lot of work. Like, you put in a lot to be a student. So you should expect to be tired. But then when you get tired, just keep yourself up, refreshing up. And at times, those times when you feel tired are actually the best time for you to revise. That's for you to take up your revision. You are actually tired, but then you just pick up probably a flashcard, pick up a flashcard, study your flash, look at a past question, look at the ones you know, the ones you don't know. By so doing, engage in discussion in a group like this, do up questions, let them respond. You're actually relaxing while you are studying. Do you get? Instead of you just go and mingle with friends, talk, and what you are discussing is not actually educative, not as regard the subject matter that matters to your life. At the end of the day, you plan to spend 2 hours with them, and you plan to spend probably 10, 15 minutes before you go back to study. Before you know, you have spent the whole day. You get? I think I've answered that now. So when you don't feel like reading at all, what should you do? What you should do is to read. Are you with me? Yeah, there are times like that. Probably after examination. Yeah, I finished my exam probably 3 weeks ago, and the urge to read has not been there as like before. But then all you have to do is to keep reading. All you have to do is to keep reading. You have to keep reading. There are some things that reading is fun. Yes, reading is not fun, but you can make it fun. You can make it fun. Just engage in. If you don't feel like reading, talk to your friends, see what they have done. Then something your brain will reset. Do you get it? Like me now, if I'm not feeling like reading in my hostel, probably in my house, and I should enter my campus and I talk to a few of my colleagues, and you see what your own fellow coursemate or your own junior, somebody you are far older than, is talking as regard what you are learning, then your brain will reset, and you start thinking like you start thinking like a student again. Okay, thank you for your thing, sir. Sir, I have an issue. I don't know if it's a problem with me. I try hard to read during the day, but it doesn't work. I fall asleep. But I notice my mind is open to read in the evening, and I assimilate more. But in my house, noon is the worst to read. So many distractions. How do I go about that? You have to leave your house. You have to leave your house. Personally, I'm a night reader as well. During the day, I most things I do during the day, they eventually end up being normal revision and all that. The day, I read during the day. Sorry, at night, but my night is actually my most productive time of the day. That's just a fact. That's my most productive time of the day. So if you have that urge to read only at night, but then you have a lot of distraction, I will advise you talk to parents so that they can help you caution those who are around, caution probably your siblings. And at times, I've discovered at times parents are the ones even disturbing us when we are being at home. It's like that in my house too. When you are reading, they tell you, come and do this, come and do that. They don't actually want to know that you are reading. Some parents will see that as an excuse, but you can let them know that, oh, from this time to this time, I will be reading. Everyone should actually cooperate this your day. Make sure you are doing something in the day. If you cannot read in the day, you can solve past questions in the day. You cannot read in the day. You can revise what you have read before during the day. Okay. Sir, what if your friends are not close to you during your reading time and you are tired? What do you what do you do? Your friends are not around and you are tired. Of course, I'm not saying you should not rest as a student. Of course, you should rest. Most importantly, when you are trained up, you need to refreshen up again so that you won't just be reading for waste. You are just reading, you are not getting what you are reading. Of course, you can rest. But what I'm saying is, provided you still have some energy and you are not done with what is required of you for that particular day, you can engage people meaningfully. And if they are not around, if your friends are not around, this is if you say you want to stop. Oh, somebody is not hearing. I think it should be from your end. If you want to stop reading, most times what you want to do is to come on online and check TikTok. So instead of taking TikTok, can just go on a channel like this, ask questions. Go on Facebook, there are several brainstorming groups. Go on WhatsApp. So you are still chilling while you are learning. That's what I'm saying. So it's not a must they should be your immediate friend. You can just talk to somebody, what is this? And you move from some people are not hearing. I think I'm rounding up already. So we'll be stopping here now. Okay, thanks for the audience. Thanks for the audience. I really appreciate every one of you. Thanks for listening, and I hope I've been able to help everyone here. At least you have gained one or two things from this section. And I say a very big thank you as well to Jamb Prime and also Miss Daniela for the invite. Thanks a lot for a wonderful job. And everyone, thank you for listening. So I still remain Dr. Chomicay.